I don't really know how to introduce this video with Iran being a hot topic at the moment. I'm not really I'm not gonna pretend I actually know much about the politics and the culture of Iran, but in my opinion, that's one of the many beauties of cinema, as it can give you a perspective of any culture if you know very little, if not at all. Way more educational than high school geography, history, or RE could ever be. I also just have a natural talent for geography, I think. Which means name every country. It was a weird start to the year, I must admit. I felt like I wasn't enjoying films anymore, and I felt like I was really trying hard to get into new films. Like I started the year with a binge watch of all the Heisei Godzilla films, which I've already seen like 800 times. As a student of film journalism and film production, it felt like more of an educational chore and work instead of sitting and enjoying a film. But on top, whenever I based my work research around, was just completely set. I blame it on Kore-eda. Sidetracking, but I decided to watch the Kore-eda film Doll in full, a film I watched for about 15 minutes and then turned off because it was a little too freaky for my liking. I mean, it didn't feel like a Kore-eda film. How it's basically a fantasy, and the extra diegetic sound is very prominent. I mean, it's also prominent in Monster, but that film plays with diegetic sound in such a cool way, so it gets a pass, I guess. I kind of forced myself to forget about Doll, and it was successful because I watched a video on Kore-eda and I didn't recognize a clip that they used at all. I needed to reverse image search it until I was reminded that the film existed, so I decided to sit down and actually watch it all. And actually watching it made me realize how harsh I can be towards weak work for some of my favorite filmmakers. It made me realize I shouldn't ignore something if a work like this, made by a person I admire so much, builds them up as a filmmaker. Doll is very weird. It's about one of those dolls who comes to life and learns about the world at the same time. I was pretending to be at the same time, I was still pretending to be a doll for our owner, which I feel wasn't a metaphor, but definitely a lot of people, even me in the past, could probably relate to. And before I go on about today's film, I wanted to talk about the title card scene that I found really beautiful in this very strange film. The first words the doll says is beautiful, twice. She says it twice as she touches the raindrops coming through the window, and it plays this very French sounding music. I cannot show the scene like at all, even if it's like casual non-sexual nudity. I cannot risk it on YouTube, but it's a very Kore-eda thing to focus on Hans the most, as she's feeling these raindrops for the first time, breathing and becoming human. Kore-eda thrives on creating every human character in his film so real. This film isn't that out of the ordinary for him, I guess. I would definitely rate it higher than maybe even After the Storm, and maybe possibly The Third Murder, but that could be a stretch. I really enjoyed Doll. I can't lie, and I thought I would hate that film. But sometimes you just need to watch decent films to make good films stand out. Because Kore-eda has a lot of those very good films. Hello, I'm joined by my cat. Say something, Bandit. Nope, just want to claw at my mic. That's okay. Huge content warning before we start. The film Taste of Cherry centers around a man called Mr. Baddy, don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, who is seen driving his car searching for someone to help him, with a not yet confirmed favour. It isn't until around 20 minutes into the film that we learn about his intention. Along the way, he encounters a soldier with whom Mr. Baddy tries to connect with. He avoids revealing the details of his favour. The soldier states what matters is the money, not the nature of the work. Eventually, they arrive at a pit where Mr. Baddy instructs the soldier to return the next morning at 6 AM. He asks the soldier to call his name twice. If he does not respond, he wants him to bury him, hinting at how Mr. Baddy plans to take his own life that evening. As Mr. Baddy steps out of the car, the soldier becomes increasingly uncomfortable and desperate to leave. Overwhelmed by responsibility, he decides to run away. Understandably, the soldier is young and does not attempt to help, just run. The soldier stood out to him as soldiers in his mind would be willing to help no matter what, but the soldier is young and inexperienced and mentally not prepared, like Mr. Body assumed. There is a whole lot of metaphors in this film. As they talk a little about mortality, the soldier mentions he is also a farmer who brings life to nature, never kills it. After the soldier, we start to see a lot more nature around the car. Birds chirping and trees are more prominent. This is the first time I cry at this film. I say first because there are multiple points that you will cry at. This is when the car gets stuck in the road and a bunch of farmers stop what they're doing to help. This is where he meets the student. Instead of keeping him in suspense as they travel to the pit like he did with the soldier, he asks him straight away. The student doesn't seem scared, though. He goes straight to religion and preaches to him. And talks about sin, and his religion is comfort. He refuses once he is shown the pit and walks away. The student isn't scared as he has the comfort of his religion to go off, but he doesn't convince Mr. Badi. Disappointed, Mr. Badi takes a detour to a construction site, which symbolizes how he feels inside. Such a gorgeous shot. It feels here he is thinking of what both the soldier and the student have said already, as he sits and watches the dirt, ready to be buried with it, going back to what the soldier said earlier, to be reborn. A worker chucks him out, and this is where we meet the final passenger. The passengers getting older and older each time. We're having 3 different perspectives on life. The inexperienced, the comforted, and now the taxidermist, who symbolizes experience. I mean, look at him. Mr. Badi expresses that he doesn't recognize the road that the taxidermist recommends. He mentions it's longer, but more scenic, which hints at his perspective on life. He mentions how every problem has a solution, and there is always multiple solutions to everything. I have only seen one other, not that I pronounce this, Abbas Kiarostami film, and that's Where is the Friend's House. I thought it was alright, but I blame this film for putting the standards too high. Similar moment in that which shows some lovely visual storytelling as the door blows open, symbolizing how he has found the solution. I also have Life and Nothing More on my watch list. I'll try and get to that soon. I know that's similar messaging. The taxidermist agrees. I'm about to have a heart attack before I heard footsteps in my house. The taxidermist agrees to help him, and instead of being scared or preaching, he shares his own story about attempting to take his own life beneath a mulberry tree. At that moment, one of the mulberries drops on his head and he eats it. This leads him to realize that if he goes through with his plan, he will miss out on ever tasting a mulberry again. He mentions how it's all about the simple pleasures and distractions in life, which makes life worth it. He forgot about ever doing what he set out to do and came back inside with a basket of mulberries. Sobbing. Once the taxidermist leaves, with his last words being, "Whether you go or stay, I am your friend. I will meet you tomorrow at the pit." Nature is the most prominent here. Mr. Badi's eyes have been opened. All through this film, the car acts like a mental prison he builds for himself. There's a moment where a couple go up to him to and ask to take their picture, and you can see him roll down the window to do so. When he rolls the window down, he changes his path to visit the taxidermist. Again, like his eyes have been opened another time. This is where he works at the museum. This is when we actually find out he's a taxidermist. There is something about this scene which feels so overwhelming. The performance from the guy playing Mr. Badi is immaculate, as he sees the children play on the fields and watches life go by. I also found out last year the actor passed away, so rest in peace. The last shot of the film shows him lying in the pit with pills in his hand. However, we only see this beautiful shot of the moon and the clouds, leaving the viewers to interpret the scene based on their own outlook, whether pessimistic or optimistic. We never learn if Mr. Badi goes through with his decision. Instead, the focus remains on the moon, allowing the viewer to decide whatever happens next. And that was Taste of Cherry. Still being analysed, with its way of visual storytelling and its metaphors to date. I personally don't like to think he died, but there are definitely going to be people with different opinions because it's a very vague film. I still don't quite know why it's called Taste of Cherry and not Taste of Mulberries. Are they the same thing? I'm not actually sure, to be honest.